I'm going to listen to King Hannah, Big Swimmer. And it's really, really enjoyable as well. I wouldn't call it mind-blowing, but it really is a nice listen. I guess it's a cross between folk and indie. It's got John Prine mentioned in one of the tracks, and it's got Sharon Van Etten as guest vocals or guest artist on 2 tracks. So it gives you an idea of the direction of travel. It's a really enjoyable listen, and I recommend you listen along with me. Enjoy. Track 1, title track, Big Swimmer. The first of 2 tracks with Sharon Van Etten, who I'm a big fan of. Lovely acoustic guitar, beautiful voice, and then the band kicks in. All very straightforward, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And probably the best way for such a lovely, lovely sound. Rocks out a little bit at the end, but not really a standout on the album for me. And there's a lot more to come, although it seems like the biggest hit. Sounds like a lot around at the moment, but there is an edge to it that gives it something a little bit special. Track 2, New York, Let's Do Nothing. I remember being really, really happy the first time I heard this, because I knew I wouldn't just have a straightforward indie folk album, because this is more indie than folk. Elements of Sonic Youth around goo and great, great storytelling. It sounds like New York, but apparently they're from Liverpool, which was a surprise. It took me until the 6th listen, till I Googled it, that I saw that they were from the UK. I presumed American, but once you know, you hear the voice and you know. Yeah, really, really good song, well placed at track 2. Track 3, The Mattress, slows things right down, and for the first time I really appreciate how good her voice is, and it is good. Quite jazz lounge singer, this one. The fact that the melody reminds me of Summertime, and the living is easy. So I don't know if it's a direct lift or whether it's just me finding something in it. But that's 3 tracks there that are different. You've got your folk, you've got your Indian, you've got your sort of jazzy. I like that. It does rock out in places. I'm a big fan of the guitarist. I'm sure I'll talk about that later. Good first 3 tracks. Keep it coming, King Hannah. Track 4, Milky Boy, I Love You, in brackets, country filled, this one, in a indie rock way. Spoken word intro and no sign of a Scouse accent, because apparently they're from Liverpool, same as my daughter's at university there, so hello Florence. Again, Sonic Youth influences, more Daydream Nation than Goo, I would say, even a bit of In Utero, Nirvana in the guitar playing. A sound that's hard yet soft. I like the hard guitar and the soft rhythm section. Works really, really well. Always a winner for me. And a lovely little outro there as well. Track 5, Suddenly Your Hands. There's a couple of longer songs in the album now, which gives me an excuse to drift off a little bit, which I tend to do at my age. So actually, first time in the album where there wasn't enough in there to make it too exciting. I mean, beautiful enough. But track 6, Somewhere in El Paso, again over long. The first 3 minutes you could probably do without with, but once it kicks in, the payoff's there. It is an album you need to be patient with, to be fair, and it is always worth the wait. And Somewhere Near El Paso is a beautiful old song once you get going. Track 7, Lily Pads, a little bit harder indie. I think I prefer the harder indie stuff than I do the more folky stuff on this album, although they're both great. Could have been off Breeders, the pod album, rather than the album with Cannonball, Last Splash. So, yeah, you don't get a bit bigger compliment than that. I get the feeling the guitarist is slightly harder, rockier than the rest of the band. The rhythm section is so laid back and nice. The guitarist is like, come on, I want to do harder. And they're like, all right, come on then. And it really, really works, that yin and yang between the two. Track 8, Davey Said, looks like the hit, apart from the title track, and it's a jaunty, indie, little jingly-jangly number, so you can understand why. It does sound American. As I say, I spent the first 5 times thinking it was American, but it's not, and it's classic city slang. If you know, they are a consistently ace label that just delivers and delivers. Nice to hear the male voice come through, and there's some lovely harmonies on that. Maybe it would have been nice to hear more of that on the album. Potentially an indie hit here as well. Get that on the radio and people might well buy it. Track 9, Scully, is a nice short instrumental that sounds a bit like the Red House Painters, whose album I must listen to. I haven't listened to that for ages, but I digress. Yeah, I like that. Nice little instrumental. And 10, that wasn't intentional. The second track with Sharon Van Etten, and it's lovely. I think it's the best of the 2 of her tracks. It's such a lovely melody. You know, you must write a melody like that and go, Oh, we've done our job today, guys. Let's go down the pub because that is absolutely beautiful and some cracking guitar playing. So impressed with this guitarist. Wow, wow, wow. Track 11, John Prine on the Radio, a song about hearing something good on the radio. My favourite hearing something good on the radio was NWA, F the Police. Hearing that, driving through Switzerland, I just couldn't believe they played that, so I had that absolutely on full blast. It really annoyed some sheep that were around. Anyway, I digress. This is a pleasant enough end to the album, acoustic, slow, good as way as any to finish things off, if slightly uninspiring. But all in all, what a great album. My overall review of King Hannah, Big Swimmer, is that it's a wonderful old listen. This is the type of music that there seems to be more of it than anything else on Pitchfork reviews. But this one stands out because it's not just a folky, acoustic, guitar-y, lovely voice. It's got all of those things, but it's got a little indie element, a little sonic youthness that gives it a little bit more bounce, a little bit more vigour, and makes it just a little bit more challenging, therefore refreshing on the ears. I really recommend this. Give it a go. If you like your indie, you like your folk, well worth a listen. Well done, lads and ladies.